nice. We'll talk some Royals baseball. We'll get into that. Lots of Royals baseball and a preview of the Padres series coming up later on in the show. Going to get to some Chiefs as well. Of course, it's a Friday, so Matt Derrick's going to join us, our Chiefs insider from ChiefsDigest.com. Matt will join us at the bottom of the 3 o'clock hour, as he always does on Friday. We'll get Matt's perspective as minicamp is over with. So 1 month from tomorrow is the start of training camp for the Chiefs. So no football, no football for a month, essentially. No new on-field Chiefs content for a month. But the Chiefs did leave us, certainly with out of their 3-day mandatory minicamp, with some content, with some things to talk about. And we'll get to those with Matt Derrick. We continue our countdown to the kickoff of the 2025 season. Countdown to the Chiefs kickoff, their first game, Friday, September 5th, in Brazil against the Chargers. Yesterday, as I said on Wednesday's show, yesterday was 78 days. So we skipped over Bobby Bell, which is a bummer. But we're now at 77 days until the Chiefs kick off. And number 77 is Jaylon Moore, most expensive free agent acquisition for the Chiefs in the 2025 offseason. Are we sure he's going to play at all? And no fault of his own. But the picture on the Chiefs offensive line is changing, and I think for the better, with the news that Josh Simmons is going to be a full training camp participant. How realistic are his chances of winning that left tackle job? And if that's the case, is Jaylon Moore going to play? Or is he a $15 million backup against the salary cap? I guess $18 million against the salary cap this year. We'll discuss that. And whether or not necessarily that's a bad thing. Because I'm not sure it is. I'm not sure that would be the worst thing in the world. I really don't. I still, regardless of whether he starts week 1 at left tackle, I think the Chiefs are better for having signed Jaylon Moore. So we'll get to that. We will get to all of that a little bit later on in the program as we talk some Chiefs. Also on the show today, this will make more sense when we get there. This is going to be some typically goofy 5 o'clock hour stuff. But how many people with your name do you know? I'll explain why I'm asking you that question. We're going to get to that in the 5 o'clock hour. That'll be a little fun Friday frivolity coming up a little later on in the 5 o'clock hour. But how many people with your name do you know? I know a couple of Dans. I've interacted with a couple of Dans, Daniels, Dannies in my time. But how many people with your name do you know? I'll tell you why I'm asking. A ballpark promotion tonight in Major League Baseball that we'll get to, and that hits a little close to home for me. So we'll get there later on in the show. Plus, everything else you've come to know and love from a Friday edition of the show. We'll have our 580 Sports Talk headlines. Playoff roundup ain't dead yet. We're going to have a Game 7 in the NBA Finals, so we'll do not our last playoff roundup of the NBA/NHL season. We'll crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We'll do On Second Thought, Change My Mind, all that fun stuff as well here on the show. So we want to hear from you throughout the program today. The text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the text line. That's 785-272-9429. Can also interact in the YouTube live chat. And a special welcome to everybody who hung with us through the first 3-odd minutes of the show when I accidentally had myself muted on the YouTube stream. Gosh, I'm a moron. But apologies for that. Thank you for sticking with us. If you ducked away from the YouTube stream, we're like, well, dang, I can't watch them because there's no sound. And I'll pull up 580wibw.com or I'll turn on the radio. You can go back to the YouTube now. We got that ironed out. You can watch us on our YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. And if you are watching live on the YouTube stream, we do have a live chat where you can interact with me. You can tell me, hey, dummy, I can't hear you. Where's your audio? You can also be more pleasant to me and, of course, interact with your other fellow listeners as well as we go along on the show. A pleasant good afternoon to everybody in on the program today. Christopher's in. I see Ryan. I see Mark H. and Vance in. Paul is in. Maybe was because he was the one complaining about no audio. Hopefully he'll come back and join us. Appreciate everybody in the YouTube chat and look forward to having more of you throughout the day here on 580 Sports Talk. All right, let's get into it. Hey, I go on vacation. Royals go 0-6. I come back. Royals immediately rip off 3 straight wins. I do not have any more vacations planned for the summer, just so everyone is aware. So you do not need to bribe me to not go on any further vacations and leave the Royals in their hour of need, in case that was the problem, which, I mean, I don't know how you could determine any other possible conclusion that it was me being on vacation that caused the Royals to go 0-6 while I was gone. They're 3-0 since I've been back because they have swept the Texas Rangers, took care of business on Wednesday night, and then won yesterday 4-1. And we could talk about Michael Wacha, and maybe we'll get to him in just a little bit. But the headline from yesterday is that Jac Caglianone is on the board. Jac Caglianone hit his first major league home run in the second inning, a solo shot that gave the Royals a 3-0 lead at the time, backing a first inning 2-run homer from Vinny Pasquantino. The home run that Caglianone hit was on a pitch at his neck. I don't have the number in front of me. I think it was something like 4.8 feet above the ground. But whatever the number is, it is, since 2008, since they were keeping data like this, the highest pitch that a Royal has hit for a home run, the highest off the ground that a Royal has hit for a home run. Jac Caglianone got into it and knocked it out of the ballpark against a left-hander for his first major league home run. And then he liked it so much that he did it again later on. Also left on left, he got a hanging slider. And while the first one chased the Rangers defender back to the warning track, on the second one, nobody bothered to go and get it as it was over the bullpen out there in right center field at Globe Life Field. First 2 home runs of the career for, as the text line refers to him from the 785, to Jack yesterday. And Caglianone now, in his first 14 major league games, that's 2 weeks worth of games, Cag's only hitting .218. He's 12 for 55 with a .232 on base percentage because he's only walked once. But the slugging percentage is up to .364 now because he's got those 2 homers to go along with a couple of doubles. 1 walk, only 12 strikeouts in 55 at-bats. Like, that's not spectacular, but it's also not like a number you can't work with. It's not an abnormally or concerningly high number of strikeouts. In contrast, you know what Bobby Witt Jr. did in his first 14 major league games? Obviously, this is all contextual. Bobby Witt Jr. debuted at the beginning of a season. Everybody's fresh. You're seeing everybody's very best. It's a little colder in April. It's a little harder to hit. The ball doesn't travel at Kauffman Stadium in April the way that it theoretically does, even though Cags only played 6 home games so far. So the context is not entirely the same. But Bobby Witt Jr.'s first 14 major league games, he hit 185. He was 10 for 54. The 214 on base, a 278 slug, 4 extra base hits like Caglianone, but 3 were doubles, 1 were triples. He had not homered through his first 14 games. In fact, if I remember right, Bobby Witt Jr. didn't hit his first big league home run until May of his first season. And while Bobby Witt Jr. had walked 1 more time than Cags has in his first 56 plate appearances, he had also struck out more, 16 strikeouts in 54 at-bats to just 12 in 55 for Caglianone. The lesson here is that the major leagues are hard. And there is, as we talked about on Wednesday's show, there is no more difficult jump in difficulty, not just in baseball. I would almost argue that it's the most difficult jump from level to level in any of the major sports. And like, for football, right, it's not an apples to apples comparison because in football, you're going from college to the NFL. It's not like there's minor league football, although detractors of the modern era of college sports would argue that that's exactly what college football has become. But maybe for a quarterback, that's the toughest transition. But I really think that going from the minor leagues to the major leagues is the ultimate step up in the level of talent you face, the ability it takes to produce and help your team win, be additive to winning. Again, part of it is because I think hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in the four major sports. But this is the biggest jump, and it's hard to handle, even when you are as preternaturally talented as a Bobby Witt Jr., even if you are as talented and have spent the first 3 months of the season laying waste to the minor leagues like a Jac Caglianone, it's still going to be tough. And it has been tough for Cags. And when we talked Wednesday, we said, man, he'd had some good process. He wasn't striking out too much, but maybe he was chasing a little bit more than you'd like. And the loud contact was mostly on the ground. It was right at guys. So his batting average was a little lower than maybe he deserved. But Tuesday night in Texas was a frustrating one for him. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. You could tell he was wearing it a bit. So backing off of him, giving him a day off, especially against a left-handed starter on Wednesday night, felt like the thing to do. And Matt Quatraro did it. Got him back in the lineup the next day and is rewarded with a multi-homer game for the young right fielder. Caglianone also dropped a routine fly ball in right center field, but hey, we all knew that was going to be a work in progress. And at least that did not cost the Royals a run. Even if it had, he generated 2 with 2 swings of the bat. He would have come out ahead anyhow. With those 2 home runs, by the way, Caglianone has surpassed MJ Melendez on the season. He has also surpassed all Royals right fielders this season with those home runs. And what stands out about both of them, not just that they were both off of lefties, but it was the kind of pitches that he hit, the authority with which he hit them. First, the ability to go up and get a pitch at your neck and backspin it the way he did and drive it out of the park, and then to stay back on that left-on-left slider, get the meat of the bat to it, and crush it over the bullpen. No mean feat in that ballpark. To hit that ball over the right center field bullpen, you've either got that or you don't. That kind of power is not coachable. That kind of power is not getting in the weight room. The ability to backspin a ball off the barrel, staying back on the ball to drive it like that, you can either do that or you can't. And Jac Caglianone could do it. That's why he's here. That's the same point. I made it on Wednesday, and I'll revisit that point again here. That's why he is benefiting from being in the major leagues, even if his first 14 games have seen more disappointment than that level of success, because this is where he's going to learn how he gets to that power against major league pitchers. This is where he's going to learn how the best pitchers in the world are going to pitch him and then respond accordingly, because they've got a saying in baseball, and I think I've heard Vinny Pasquantino, I think it was Vinny, who used this in relation to Caglianone's power, saying all that kid has to do is touch it. It doesn't take any special extra effort, swinging from your heels or whatever you want to call it. All he's got to do is get the barrel to the baseball, and he's going to have a real leisurely time around the bases. But the trick for every hitter is making sure that you get to do that, because you could do it more easily, more commonly against good pitches to hit. And the trick is to pick those out amongst all those pitches, because as the first home run showed you, if Jac Caglianone can hit a home run with a pitch at his neck, he's going to keep swinging at that pitch at his neck, right? And more often than not, that pitch is going to beat him. If that pitch is coming in 98, 99, that pitch is going to beat him. But you see the double-edged sword there, because he is talented enough when he catches a hold of a pitch at his neck to hit it out of the ballpark. So that's where the chase rate with Jack comes from. That's just the talent he has for getting his barrel to the ball. But the maturity of Caglianone will be to leave that pitch alone more often than not and do the damage on pitches that are a little easier to do damage against. It was part of a broader theme And Paul speaks to it in the YouTube comments. Welcome in, Paul. That we did. We spent Monday and Tuesday talking about, the Royals can't score. The Royals don't hit any home runs. They hit 7 home runs. They scored 16 runs in 3 games. 5 different guys hit home runs in the series. Salvador Perez has a 2-homer game. Jac Caglianone has a 2-homer game. Maikel Garcia homers again. Witt and Vinny. That's everybody. It's 5 of your top 6 right there in the order hitting home runs. That's 2 through 6 in your everyday order going out of the ballpark. And Paul asked if maybe it's just reverse psychology working on the Royals. I don't know necessarily if that's the case. I will take whatever credit you want to give me, that you want to give us, this show, for being brave enough to say that the Royals' offense wasn't acceptable in their 3-game sweep at the hands of the A's. But that's just baseball for you, right? You struggle and you fight against it, and you battle against it, and then you have 3 games where you see it real well against a good pitching staff. Again, Texas came in with the best earned run average in the American League. And the Royals averaged 5 runs a game against them in a sweep and hit 7 home runs in 3 games. They're up to 53 on the year, by the way, as a team. I do not know if that has surpassed the Pirates, if they are now no longer dead last in baseball. I'm going to do a quick check at Baseball Reference. They are tied now with the Pirates. Take that, Pirates. And the Pirates have played 1 more game than the Royals. So really, the Royals are ahead now. Home runs per game. They are no longer at the bottom of Major League Baseball. 53 home runs. Next up, White Sox. You better watch your back, White Sox, and your 58 home runs. The Royals are coming. Jac Caglianone's figured out how to do it. Happy learned how to putt yesterday. Jac Caglianone's on the board. Royals get a sweep. Vibes are back. Have a chance this weekend to get back to the 500 mark. They can come back home at 500 with a series win over the Padres. We'll step aside for a quick timeout. When we come back, a couple interesting Royals notes from Ken Rosenthal at The Athletic today. One about Bobby Witt Jr.'s bat, which has certainly come alive in recent days. And one about trading from strength to add to a weakness. The Royals did it in the offseason where they considered doing it in season. Plus, Matt Derrick joins us bottom of the hour. We got so much more to get to on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Thanks for being with us. 3:31 on 580 Sports Talk. 785-272-9429, the text line number. Live chat is open on our YouTube stream, on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, MLB Insider, puts out his notes column every Friday, and a couple of interesting Royals notes in today's article. One of them regarding Bobby Witt Jr., who has had a good season, like objectively good. He's the fourth most valuable player in all of baseball, position player-wise, according to Fangraphs, wins above replacement. But he has not been as good at the plate as he was last year, hasn't generated the same kind of power as he did last season to date. Rosenthal notes, quote, "The good news is that Witt, according to a club official, recently found something in his work with the team's hitting coaches and biomechanical experts. He made an adjustment that put him in better position to hit, and in the past 4 games is 7-15 with a home run and 3 doubles." It certainly does seem like he's getting out in front of the ball a little bit more. His home runs have been to, and the couple of doubles have been to left field, left center field. So able to catch the ball out front, a little bit more authority. They talk about getting in position to hit. That's I'll spare you the inside baseball, no pun intended. But we have talked as critical as we have been at times in talking about the development of hitters for the Royals. Sounds like somebody in that clubhouse, somebody in the R&D department, was able to set Bobby Witt Jr. straight, and they need him to produce at a high level. Remember, Bobby Witt Jr. was unbelievable. It was July last year that was his big month, if I remember right. He had the 1 month where he was just out of this world. I'm pretty sure it was June where he hit like 400 for the whole month. I'm going to double check that so I don't sound like a total idiot. But it was July. It was July last year. We hit 489 for the entire month. That was unbelievable. One of the greatest months you'll ever see a baseball player have. Royals could use a month like that from him. Maybe 489 is a bit of a stretch, but hey, they take an August 2024 from Bobby Witt Jr. when he hit 10 home runs in 28 games and slugged 673. They take a month like that, absolutely. They need a month, and we haven't had it yet. And I think that's encouraging because Bobby Witt Jr. is one of those players that when he gets hot, he can put you on your back for 2-3 weeks. And I still think that stretch is coming. We might be at the very start of it if Rosenthal's note is any indication. Rosenthal also writes this: "The Royals need more than just Witt to get hot. They're wasting a rotation that entered Thursday ranked 4th in ERA. So it's reasonable to ask, would they trade a starting pitcher to get the slugging outfielder they need? At the moment, with Cole Reagans out until at least July with a rotator cuff strain, the question is premature. And even if Reagans returns by the deadline, any trade of a starter would risk compromising the Royals' biggest strengths, a rotation that, like all rotations, is inherently fragile. An injury to another starter," Rosenthal continues, "might force the Royals to move Daniel Lynch IV or Angel Zerpa to the rotation, weakening their bullpen. Before doing that, though, they would probably try left-hander Rich Hill, who is, of course, at AAA. And it made me think if maybe that's the reason that the Royals are hanging on to Rich Hill. We talked about that unique situation on Wednesday's show where Hill didn't exercise the opt-out that he had with the Royals, the upward mobility clause, but there's still an understanding that if another team wants to sign him to a big league contract, the Royals aren't going to stand in his way. But if the Royals didn't have any use for him, they just would have, let him walk, right? And I wonder if maybe they're hanging on to him just in case. There might be the thought that the best way to address their lineup void, because they're still, even if Cags really starts to roll here, they're still a bat away. There's no doubt about that. They're still a bat away in the outfield. They're running Nick Lofton or John Rave out there every day in a corner outfield spot right now. That's not good enough. It's not. If they need to trade from strength, if Noah Cameron had to be a part of a trade package, all of a sudden that would open up a vacancy in the starting rotation. I'm not saying the Royals should trade Noah Cameron. I'm just saying I wonder if that's part of the thought process. If the Royals are keeping some of their powder dry with a guy like Kyle Wright down at AAA rehabbing, with Rich Hill in the organization, to say, hey, maybe we got to move a starter. Maybe we got to move a young starting pitcher. And really, the only guy fits that description is Noah Cameron, to improve our lineup to the point where we can be a serious contender in the AL Central. Something to bear watching, something I think that bears watching moving forward. We'll take another break. Matt Derrick joins us next. We've got Chiefs Insider coming up next on 580 Sports Talk. We head to Kansas City to talk to our Chiefs insider, Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. He joins us every Friday at this time on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Again, Matt covers the Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com. You can find him across all manner of social media just by searching for his name, Matt Derrick. Matt, minicamp is over with. Got a month of no football, month to decompress, right?
Yeah, and this is the time of year that I always say to myself that I need to make sure that I am ahead of schedule by the beginning of camp on July 22nd this year, because if I'm not by July 23rd, I will be 2 weeks behind.
That's a fact. Always good to work ahead, for sure. No mini camp for rookies this year. Does that come as a bit of a surprise to you?
It doesn't. I mean, it had been kind of rumored and bantered about that this might be a possibility. And, and Andy Reid kind of gave his public reason yesterday, which was that, they don't maybe have enough of a rookie class to really do a full mini camp for 3 days of 11 on 11, anything like that. And that's been a struggle the last few years anyway. I think even some years they've just done strictly 7 on 7 because they didn't have enough offensive or defensive line. Now he just decided, hey, feel like they got enough work done, got a lot of work for the rookies done this year. So throw that in with just giving everybody a couple of more days off, his own coaching staff, players, quarterbacks. I think he just felt like that, all those reasons, it just added up to, hey, get rid of the mini camp and just have everybody come in at once and save a couple of days work for everybody.
Our guest is Matt Derrick of ChiefsDigest.com. This is our Chiefs Insider on 580 Sports Talk. Josh Simmons, rookie left tackle, 32nd overall pick in the draft. He is going to be a full participant in training camp, according to Andy Reid, coming off of the torn patellar tendon he suffered midway through his last college season at Ohio State. Two questions here. I'll ask them one by one. First, do you think the team would have expected this, even when they drafted him? Or do you think we're living in a best-case scenario with Simmons, that he's managed to maybe beat some expectations in terms of his quick return to being able to get back on the field and be a full training camp participant?
Yeah, 100% best-case scenario. I'm talking to someone yesterday, and I've heard this a lot from, and we've even kind of heard it alluded to on the podium, and maybe some just said it out directly. I don't remember it, but common frame is that Josh Simmons right now is where the Chiefs were just crossing their fingers that he might be in early August. So, at least a month and a half ahead of schedule, maybe even 2 months ahead of schedule from where they thought he might be. And it'll be interesting to see how it unfolds, because even during OTAs, Josh Simmons was a full go by the end. Jaylon Moore was a full go at the beginning, but there was never really a period of time where both of them were a full go at once. So we haven't gotten a good look at just how the Chiefs consider both those guys when they are on the field. I feel like right now it's kind of a either or, but it could change. I mean, I'm now in the camp that I fully expect that there's a reasonable chance that Josh Simmons could be the starter for this team in Week 1.
That takes me right to my second question, because I remember when he got drafted, we thought no chance. When he was moving around a little bit at the OTAs, we thought, yeah, still probably no chance. But now that he's going to be a full training camp participant, what would he have to do in your mind to win the job from Jaylon Moore?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because I feel like, what he needs to do in my mind versus maybe the Chiefs' mind might be different. I mean, after what happened last year, I think I would need Josh Simmons to go out there and dominate. And I don't know that the Chiefs are in that spot. I mean, I get it. I mean, they're so happy with where he is, and they're so impressed with his speed, his footwork, just his overall skills, that, they're incredibly pleased. But, the one thing they don't know is, what is his power? What's his strength? What's his ability once you get to be more physical? Once the pads come on, does he have the drive in that base from that knee that he can be up to his potential? And he might be. I mean, and if he is, there's not really any reason why the Chiefs shouldn't be starting him. I mean, if he is clearly your best left tackle, you really don't have a reason not to start him. But, last year, there were signs with Kingsley that he wasn't ready. And, and I feel like as a media member, I feel like I didn't do my job necessarily to my best, because I saw those signs, but I was asking the questions to Andy Reid and Andy Heck, when they had the confidence and displayed the confidence in him. You're just kind of like, wait a minute, these two guys know more about offensive line. They knew more about Kingsley than I do. If they're this comfortable, then, my concerns and the things that I see at practice that are concerning, it must be aberrations. Maybe I'm just not seeing what they see. I mean, if that's the same thing, if Josh Simmons struggles in one-on-ones, or Josh Simmons is struggling against Chris Jones on a third down package in a practice, then I think you got to consider, whether or not you need to put the kid at that position to let him fail. That you need to, as Andy Reid says, you need to put people in the best position possible to allow them to make plays. And if Josh Simmons just isn't ready from a physical standpoint yet, and with that knee, then I think you got to consider Jaylon Moore as your possibility. And last year just seemed like the Chiefs got so focused on Kingsley that they just didn't look at any of the warning signs. If there's any warning signs in camp this year, I think there's going to be more questions about them than there have been in the past.
We're joined by Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest here on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. And Matt, Jeremy Fowler reported over the last weekend that Travis Kelce had lost 25 pounds. He kind of jokingly refuted that. But what was your takeaway from 2025 Travis Kelce offseason workout and minicamp to 2024 Travis Kelce offseason workout and minicamp?
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, I didn't see 25 pounds of weight loss on Travis Kelce when we saw him up close. I know some people feel like that there was significant weight loss because they can just see, his face is being a little thinner and everything. And I'll buy that. I've got to think I side with Travis on this one when he said he's never said that, and it's definitely not 25 pounds. I think he's lost some weight, but not 25. I think that his performance in minicamp this year, I kind of have to put an asterisk with it because, remember, he was in France on Monday and took a jet back to the United States, got into Kansas City early Tuesday morning, was out on the field for practice Tuesday morning. And he had one drop, and then the rest of the day, I think he was darn near perfect. He looked a lot slower on Wednesday, but I would also look a lot slower on Wednesday if I was in France on Monday. So I think the jet lag got him a little bit. He also has made it clear, when I asked him about just balancing his work, his business life outside of football, his personal life and the game. And, he made it clear that to him, football is always number one. Hey, I don't think he's going to be doing that during training camp. I don't think he's going to be jetting off places. I mean, I think he's going to be managing time a little bit differently. I thought it was notable that he just talked about how his training this year is different, doing more running. I don't think there's any doubt he wants to be quicker this year. That's one of the things that with the weight loss he'd like to have is just more quickness than he had a year ago. When you get up in age, I mean, your only way to really get faster and get quicker is to lose weight, and that's what he's trying to do.
Sticking with the offense, obviously Xavier Worthy, year 2, Hollywood Brown, year 2, coming back with the team. Rashee Rice looking to be a full participant in training camp. How's Jalen Royals look so far in what you've been able to see there at One Arrowhead Drive?
Yeah, I think he's looked pretty good. I mean, now the Chiefs have treated him like what I would say he kind of is. I mean, the number 5 receiver. And, and they didn't always have everybody there. So sometimes he got to play a larger role than others. During this mini camp, I mean, Rashee Rice was only out really one day. He was there on Tuesday. Hollywood Brown was a little bit limited, so it wasn't a full workload. But by the mini camp, you kind of got to see how the Chiefs envision their wide receiver rotation. And Royals is, I mean, that's where I think he's going to be. It's probably that 4th, 5th guy. Now, right now, I would say Juju is probably ahead of him in the pecking order. Now, that Juju's probably not going to play all 17 games. It's just kind of where he's at in his career. So Royals is going to play, but and once again, I mean, that's if he becomes anything more than your 4th, 5th receiver, it probably means that some guys ahead of him have gotten hurt. So I don't think if you're the Chiefs, you want that. But the Chiefs have done a really good job with Royals of just getting him work when they could, when there weren't some of the veterans there. They gave Royals a lot of snaps to kind of bank, and I think that's important. But when the veterans have been there, he kind of disappeared a little bit. But again, I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's just reality. But I thought overall, when given opportunities, Royals had a pretty good offseason.
Flipping over to the defense real quick, obviously much is kind of the point of mini camp and all that stuff. It's kind of like an offensive practice, right? But it seems like from the notes that I saw on X throughout the week, the defensive secondary was putting in a little work this week.
Yeah, I and that's really what else gets tested. I mean, it's the receivers and against the corners and safeties. And there were some days when the defense and the secondary, owned the day. I mean, they had some really good days. And I don't think anybody's had a better offseason program than Trent McDuffie. And I say that just as an example, on Tuesday, I wrote down 4 or 5, 6 plays that Trent McDuffie, I wrote him down because it was an example of just that was a catch given up in a non-padded practice. I mean, it was Trent McDuffie was there that play was being blown up, whether he was making an interception, whether he was knocking a ball away that was caught or breaking up the pass. He was there to just absolutely destroy some receivers a half dozen times and pulled up because it's a non-contact practice. He looked just terrific. I mean, he looks in midseason form right now. I already feel like that Trent McDuffie is one of the best corners in the league. The way he looked to me in this offseason workouts, I think he's going to start getting that recognition this year from around the league.
Matt Derrick covers the Kansas City Chiefs at ChiefsDigest.com, and he joins us every Friday on the program as our Chiefs insider on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Go check out his mini camp coverage at ChiefsDigest.com. Matt, it's always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds great, my friends. Try and stay cool, everybody.
Yeah, we'll do our best. That is Matt Derrick. Appreciate Matt for joining us, as always, here on Friday on 580 Sports Talk. We'll take a break, come back, play a quick game of Change My Mind to wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. .354 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you, wrapping up this first of 3 hours today. Wrapping up this first hour on Friday with a Change My Mind. And here's one for you. Based on what we just heard from Matt Derrick, he was talking about Eddie Royals. Not Eddie Royals. Holy cow. Shout out to Eddie Royal. Good pro.
Yeah.
Former Bronco and Charger, Virginia Tech, I believe. Hokie. Good pro. Not Eddie Royal. Jaylon Royal.
He was almost a Washington. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, the contract fell through the first. It was like the first or second year they did the negotiating windows, the tampering periods.
It's been a week. Eddie Royal. Holy cow. Jaylon Royal.
Yes.
He referred to him right off the rip as wide receiver number 5. Changed my mind. He should be wide receiver number 4. Ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster in the pecking order.
I think by the time camp winds up, I'm agreeing with you. I think it's just, you have Juju as number 4 right now. You have a kind of see where he is after camp. He could be a guy that's developmental for a year or not. I think training camp will be the deciding factor for what we get out of I was about to say Eddie Royals. Jaylon Royals. I think training camp will be the deciding factor.
Eddie Royal, singular.
Yes.
Jaylon Royals, plural, like the baseball team.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how you remember. All right, you got to change my mind?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Speaking of the Chiefs, change my mind. They will go 14-3.
The Chiefs?
Yes.
14-3 is hard. 14 wins is tough. But
I'll give you my do you want me to give you my losses?
Yeah. What if they go 14-3, what 3 games do they lose?
Bills.
Okay.
Then they lose the final 2 games because they are resting their guys.
Oh, okay. So you think they're going to rip off 13-1 or 14-1 and then just put it in neutral?
Yeah.
I think somebody in the division is going to get them. I think the Bills, that's their Super Bowl. They'll probably get them mid-season. The Chiefs got their eye on the bye week. Yeah, like it's really hard to pick a Patrick Mahomes team to do anything less than win 13, 14
I was
games.
going to say like 12, I would be like, oh my gosh, what is happening?
Like I would take the Vegas total's 11.5, and I'm on the over on that without a hesitation. If you made it 12.5, I think I'd still take the over.
Yeah.
If you put it at 13.5, that's where I start to question a little bit, because I think the divisional games will be harder this year. All 6 of them will be harder games than they were last year and than they have been in previous years, although the Chiefs have fairly dominated those games no matter how good the divisional competition is. They got some tough games early on in the season where they might be, experimenting, trying to figure things out. I don't know. I think 14-3, I'll say this. It is certainly within the realm of possibility, because if they do get through that early season schedule with only 1 or 2 losses before the bye week, then anything less than 14-3 might feel a little bit disappointing. Coming up at the 4 o'clock hour, what if the most expensive free agent signing for the Chiefs this offseason doesn't start week 1? We'll talk about that. Plus, what is wrong with you? We'll pick a weekly champ. And is Maikel Garcia a cornerstone member of the Royals? We'll all discuss all that coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Hour number 2 on this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook stream, WIBW News. I am Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis across the glass, having a snack. Little pick-me-up.
Yes.
What do you got there?
Chewy granola bar.
Hey, listen, that's a solid choice.
Shout out Aldi.
Listen, 4:00 Friday afternoon. I was needing one too. I got a bag of like trail mix in the office. I threw down a few fistfuls before I got behind the mic. So no, I know where you're coming from.
Sometimes you just need it.
Oh yeah, I hear you. But listen, anytime I catch you or Brendan eating on the camera, I'm going to say something. Anytime. You weren't around for this.
Sometimes I get away with it when you and Brendan are here.
Yeah.
Because you guys are having dialogue back and forth.
And nobody notices?
So I'm just like, all right, let me get this in real quick.
You weren't around for this. Jake LeBon will still occasionally text Brendan and I and just say, hey, remember the time Dan ate a pork rind live on the radio? And this is the thing that happened.
I can imagine how that.
So this is back when I believe Britt Zweigert was still our producer. Old Britt Z was still producing the show at the time. So all three of us were in the room here. Jake was here in the captain's chair, and Brendan and I were on either side of him. And I don't know why. Somebody brought some pork rinds to the office. Where do you come down on pork rinds? I love pork rinds.
They're okay.
So these are like
not my favorite.
These are like the flavored, like seasoned pork rinds. I think they had something like barbecue flavor pork rinds. These are really good pork rinds. I don't know if it was like a sponsored deal or I don't know. There were these bags of pork rinds outside I sit on that table that's right outside your office out front. So anyway, I got some pork rinds during the commercial break, and I'm snacking on these pork rinds. And in my infinite wisdom, I thought I could get one more pork rind in kind of under the wire before we really resumed the discussion. Forgetting that my mic was hot.
Your mic was.
You ever try to discreetly eat a pork rind?
No.
Can't do it. Cannot discreetly eat a pork rind. So I'm like trying to muffle it over here. I got my pork rind. I take a bite, and Jake swears it's like Jake always has the loudest sound in the history of 580 Sports Talk. Just me going, ow.
Also, that's not good on your producer's fault. That's your producer's fault. Your producer is supposed to be all aware of what is going on, and like you occasionally you'll get us out on time, but then you have to tend to something and your mic will be on. I'll see it and I'll turn it off.
Yeah.
You got that your producer didn't help you.
Yeah.
Britt didn't help you as a producer.
I don't know if I don't remember if it was Britt. Maybe it was Marco Marquez, another one of our former producers. I'm not entirely sure who it was. But clearly, they hung me out to dry on that one. So at least you chose a less crunchy snack. It is in the name. In fact, it is a chewy snack.
Well, at least I, had my mic off.
Yeah, that too. That's also important. We try to do that when we have like icy drinks or, real crunchy food. But one time I had a pork rind right into the microphone.
I'm glad I've never done something like that.
Right into the microphone. And Jake has never let me forget it. Like well into his retirement. I think the last time I heard about it from him was like 6 months ago. He texted Brandon and I, hey, remember when Danny ate a pork rind on the air and it went crunch? It's all in caps. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyhow, now I want some pork rinds. Anyway, we've got 2 more hours of 580 Sports Talk today. Royals pregame coverage for Game 1 of their series in sunny San Diego will start at 8 o'clock tonight, 8:40 first pitch, rather, from Petco Park. So we are with you until 6. We've got some more Royals to get to this hour. I want to talk about Maikel Garcia and just how good he has been and how real this improvement from the 25-year-old third baseman of the Royals. And whether or not he's a cornerstone piece, whether he's a guy who the Royals ought to be talking to about maybe trying to see if they can buy out the rest of his arbitration years. And a fun wrinkle about Maikel Garcia's arbitration years. There's one more than you usually get. He's a 4-year arb guy. So he does not hit free agency until 2030. Royals have him under team control for the next 4 years after this one. So
give me this year times the next 4 or 5 total. Wow.
Yeah, right now it's feeling like a really nice piece to have.
Yeah.
Certainly through his prime years at affordable cost control for the Kansas City Royals. We'll get to Maikel and we'll talk again about this Padres series. It's going to be a bit of a come down for the Padres. They just played a very hotly contested 4-game series against the Los Angeles Dodgers. I don't know if y'all caught the highlights of the West Coast games these last 4 days. But here's the thing about the Dodgers and the Padres. They don't like each other. And so there are a lot of guys getting hit with baseballs. And I think Dave Roberts threatened to beat up Mike Schilt in the 9th inning of last night's game.
Shout out to Shohei, though.
Fernando Tatis got hit. He might not play in this series. We don't know what his status is going to be for this series. The lineups are, if they're out, I haven't seen them. They might come out soon.
Yeah, but shout out to Shohei last night for telling his bench to stay in there.
Yeah, trying to
de-escalate a situation that could have really escalated.
Precisely, not trying to fan the flame.
Because boy, oh boy, Clayton Kershaw was going to be the first guy over the fence. Did you see he had to jump back behind the fence? That was crazy.
Yeah, man,
dude was up and out.
He was fired up. You'd have thought, yeah, I'm going to skip that. Anyway, yeah, it got heated, and that's a lot to go from 4 games of that to. Okay, we're back at home, but it's interleague. It's a team we don't really care about that much. So it'll be interesting to see how the Padres come out of the gate tonight. Pitching matchup is Michael Lorenzen against Nick Pivetta, a couple of right-handers. Pivetta's been one of San Diego's best this year. Lineups are not out yet. We'll let you know about all of that before we go off the air tonight. Also going to talk some Chiefs this hour, continue our countdown to kickoff. There are 77 days until the Chiefs start their 2025 regular season in Brazil against the Chargers. And number 77 for the 2025 Chiefs is Jaylon Moore. We're going to talk a little bit about Jaylon Moore here later this hour. Plus, we're going to crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. We'll see if our guy Cowboy Cody from Kentucky can go the distance after he was our Monday champion on What Is Wrong With You. Of course, we want to hear from you. The text line is open at 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. Also, if you are watching on our YouTube, you can interact with us in the live chat. That feature available on the web browser or on your mobile device. You're watching the show on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And if you're not, hey, give it a shot. I hope wherever you're listening from today, if it's not in your car, I hope you're indoors. Miserable out there, and it's the temperature. I looked at the 10-day forecast. It looks like Cole Reagan's fastballs. Everything's in the mid 90s.
Yeah,
everything in the mid upper 90s. It's going to be hot, and because we've had all of the moisture late in the spring, it's going to be gross. It's going to be sticky and humid and just not real fun to be outside for really like the next 2 weeks. Yeah. So welcome to summer, everybody. So I hope wherever you're listening from, you're staying cool. And if you are watching on YouTube, we want to hear from you in the live chat. Don't be shy. Interact with your fellow listeners and, of course, your host. Again, the name of the YouTube channel.
Speaking of weather,
580 Sports.
Quick aside here.
Okay.
I was talking to Olivia last night. I was like, this is the hottest temperature I've ever been in living in Kansas.
Okay.
Subsequently, I've also lived in the coldest temperatures I've ever been in have been in Kansas.
You get a little bit more extreme weather here in the Heartland.
Yeah, when I first moved here, it was like negative 30s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've never been below negative 10 until then.
How about that?
Yeah.
It's going to be just miserable, gross, hot. I guess it's going to be in the hundreds in Philadelphia. The Northeast is getting gnarly heat coming up this week as well. Nobody's going to escape it. So again, stay cool if you can and enjoy 580 Sports Talk. We're really glad you're here. Jaylon Moore signed a 2-year contract this offseason with the Kansas City Chiefs. It's a 2-year, $30 million contract. The signing bonus is $7.49 million. The guarantee is $21.24 million. The average annual value, in case you cannot divide 30 by 2, is $15 million. So here in 2025, Moore, the former San Francisco 49er, will make a base salary of $6.75 million. And the salary cap hit for Moore on the Chiefs roster is $11.195 million. That makes him the most expensive free agent that the Royals signed this offseason. Going into an offseason, I saw the Chiefs lose in the Super Bowl. and have their three-peat denied. The Chiefs spent the most money they spent on any player in this offseason on Jaylon Moore. And I don't know that he's going to play because we talked to Matt Derrick, our Chiefs insider, just in the last hour, talking about Josh Simmons. And it sounds like Simmons' recovery from his torn patellar tendon has surprised even the Chiefs. That when the Chiefs selected him, they certainly left the door open for the thought that, hey, maybe he'll be healthy enough to be a full training camp participant. But that was not the expectation. That was more the best case scenario for the Chiefs. But not only is Josh Simmons going to be able to have a full training camp, and not only did he go through portions of minicamp and OTAs and do a little bit of teamwork in those sessions, if not the full plate that you might have liked to have had for a rookie or a first-year player. You hear Andy Reid talk about Josh Simmons, and it is very clear that Andy Reid really likes what he sees. Andy's not one to necessarily overplay his hand, but also Andy's not going to BS you either. And when Andy says he's impressed, when Andy says he likes what he sees, that's not artifice. That's real from Big Red. So now I'm beginning to think that there is a real chance. I don't know that I'm ready to put a number on it yet, but it's non-zero, which I think I would have put the number at when he was drafted coming off of the torn patellar tendon injury. But the chance, I think, is non-zero that Josh Simmons comes to training camp and does enough in the eyes of Andy Reid, Andy Heck, Matt Nagy, and maybe most importantly of all, Patrick Mahomes, to win the starting job from the get-go and be the opening day left tackle in 2025. Where then does that leave Jaylon Moore? Where does that leave the guy you spent $21 million guaranteed on in this offseason? If not the opening day starting left tackle, because we've said it, and Matt Verderame has said it, our NFL insider. Matt Derrick has said it. That is not money you give if you think you are paying someone to be a backup. That is money you hand out when you anticipate that a player is going to start. Now, the commitment is not a long-term one to Jaylon Moore. In 2026, if Moore were to stay on the team, let's live in the world where Jaylon Moore is a Kansas City Chief in 2026. That year, his base salary is $14.24 million, and his salary cap hit is $18.745 million. That is over $7.5 million more against the cap next season as this season. But if the Chiefs were to walk away from that deal, either via trade or release, the dead cap is only $10.745 million, meaning the Chiefs could save $8 million against the 2026 cap if they release Jaylon Moore. So this contract was very much put together with the thought of, all right, well, if this doesn't work, or if we draft our future left tackle and we like him better, and Jaylon Moore doesn't end up looking like a long-term solution for us for whatever reason, we can get out of this with minimal pain. It's not no cap hit. Like, he's going to count against the cap in 2026, but you can save almost half the cap number if you release or trade him. With that in mind, and with Josh Simmons' quick recovery in mind, let me ask you what you think about this, because I have an answer that might be different than yours, Spencer. But I want to know what you think of this, and of course, I want to know what you think on the text line 785-272-9429 and in the YouTube comments. How harmful is it? How bad is it if Jaylon Moore doesn't start week one? Whether it's left tackle, whether it's in competition with Jawan Taylor at right tackle. And by the way, Jawan Taylor, number 74, that's Monday on our countdown. We'll have more on Jawan Taylor on Monday's show. But how harmful would it really be to the Chiefs if Jaylon Moore is not a week one starter?
I don't think it's harmful, because I think you did what you did because, I mean, like, Ian Rappaport went on NFL Network, I think the Insider Show the beginning of the week maybe, and he said the Chiefs went into this offseason knowing they couldn't be like last year, where they were unprepared for situations that would come up at the tackle position. They thought they could draft a guy and just plug and play.
Right.
Well, guess what? They drafted a guy who was injured through most of the season last year in college football. So I think they wanted to shore up their tackle position and be there, be prepared no matter what. So I think it's not that big of a deal because I think he's a swing guy. He's a guy that you can throw in there when need be, and I think they have a lot of players like that on there. Like Caliendo is a swing guard.
So you're thinking kind of the same way I'm thinking, that whatever happens with Jaylon Moore, his roster spot is an upgrade, even if it's an expensive luxury upgrade. That roster spot is an upgrade from being one snap away from having to call on Wanye Morris at left tackle.
Yeah.
Or being one snap away from having to kick your left guard to left tackle, which the Chiefs had to do last year, which that worked until it extremely didn't work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you and I are seeing eye to eye here, Spencer, where, like, yeah, you can look at $21 million guaranteed, and you can look at $18 million against the cap and say, well, gosh, if he's not going to start, you could have done something else with that money. Maybe you could have retained Justin Reed. Maybe you could have retained Turk Wharton. Maybe you could have made an addition at a different position, added some more depth at a different position. But, like, I look at the Chiefs roster, and okay, would it have been nice to have Turk Wharton? That's a luxury player too. He's not a 3-down defensive tackle. That's a luxury player in a respect.
In the Chiefs. Looking at the Chiefs, it's their luxury player.
Right. It's a luxury player for the Chiefs, certainly, yes. on their depth chart, more so than on, like, Carolina's, where they're going to pay him to be a 3-down guy. Justin Reed, I think it was totally reasonable to say, hey, we love Jaden Hicks. We're going to plug him in. Brian Cook's a younger player. We're going to get a little cheaper, a little younger, a little maybe more athletic, maybe a little bit more playmaking at the safety spot, move away from Justin Reed. So, like, that money's got to go somewhere. I'm okay with that money being on the offensive line, even if it is as just a fail-safe and not as a starting player. Because don't you feel better as a Chiefs fan? Don't you think Patrick Mahomes feels better on June 20th, 2025, about his offensive line, knowing that there are two possible starting caliber left tackles on his roster? And if one were to not work out, there is another one to plug in who is not Wanye Morris. And I do not mean to pick on Wanye Morris any more than a simple film study from last year would pick on Wanye Morris. You know, sometimes, like, the scoreboard says it all and the film doesn't lie. And that was what it was for Wanye Morris. And that cannot play left tackle in an NFL game for a team with serious designs on contending. And you know how I know? Wasn't like he was hurt in January and the Chiefs wouldn't run him out there.
Yeah.
Now, it was unacceptable at that point. So, don't you feel better with the tackle situation being what it is, where, okay, maybe Jaylon Moore doesn't beat out Joshua Simmons? Isn't that a good thing from the perspective of your first-round pick, a guy that most draft experts said might have gone top 10, top 15, if not for his injury? Well, he's far enough past his injury to earn the starting job. Wouldn't that be a great sign? And would not be a great sign if, okay, maybe he doesn't win the job, Jaylon Moore wins the job, that you've found somebody, identified somebody from another roster who had not started games and brought him into your system and are able to plug him in as an above average starting player. And in addition to that, you have an extremely talented rookie as your fallback, as your fail-safe for his first season. I think that you can take a narrow view of the Jaylon Moore contract and say, yeah, short term, it doesn't feel great if you've got 11.195 of a cap hit for a player who's going to be a backup. Like, and maybe in a perfect world doesn't see the field unless you're in blowouts or 6 offensive lineman situations. But the contract is structured where they can get out of it next year if they need to. And again, that would that would all be like again, continuing the best case scenario with regards to Joshua Simmons, because the talent level is not in question here. You hear it in Andy Reid's voice. The talent level is not in question when it comes to Joshua Simmons. The question is, can he be healthy? Can he recover from a difficult injury to recover from? It was a very real question that enough teams were uncomfortable answering that he got to number 32 in the draft. But if he's answering that question in a positive way, if the answer is he's healthy, he's 100%, and he's good enough to protect Patrick Mahomes' blind side day one, and Mahomes agrees, and Andy Reid and Andy Heck and Matt Nagy and people who've, as Matt Derrick put it, forgotten more about offensive line play than we'll ever know. If that's what they see, that's a good thing. And I can live with an expensive tackle insurance policy, because that's how you have to look at this. This is an insurance policy for the Chiefs. That's what Jaylon Moore is. This is insurance. And you know what's expensive? Insurance when you have expensive things, right? Like It was back when I used to have a 1995 Honda Civic. It wasn't real expensive to insure that car. When I got a newer car, it got more expensive to insure that car. And now my car I have now is about as old as that old Civic when I had it, so it's less expensive to insure that car. I drive cars till they drop. That's just sort of my opinion on cars. That's my attitude about it. I'm gonna drive them until I can't drive them anymore, or some crackhead steals them in Wichita and makes off with them. But that's another story for.
All right, then.
It's another story for another show. That did happen to me in Wichita. So that's why I don't have the Civic anymore. Got stolen. Anyway.
Wait, you don't have your 95 Civic?
The 95 Civic, yeah.
I can bet it was easy to steal.
Yes. No, that's why it had been broken into a bunch of times before it finally got stolen.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. Anyway, back to my point. It is expensive to insure expensive things. And the Chiefs have the most valuable commodity in the NFL, a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. So if it costs you $11.195 million against the cap to feel like no matter what, we're going to be all right at left tackle, so be it. I'm good with that. It doesn't bother me. If Jaylon Moore doesn't start, doesn't get on the field, doesn't play it down, number one, that means Joshua Simmons is that dude. And number two, you feel a lot better if he's not. We'll take a quick time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we return, we're going to crown a weekly champion on What Is Wrong With You. It will not be the crackhead who stole my car 12 years ago. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. It is time to crown a weekly champion for What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. What Is Wrong With You, sponsored by our guy Mo, State Farm Agent Ryan Mo Winkle Insurance and Financial Services. Whether your thing that you are insuring is as expensive and valuable as Patrick Mahomes or as non-expensive and non-valuable as my old 1995 Honda Civic, Mo can cover you. Give him a call, 785-273-1572. I missed that car, man. I had 203,000 miles on that car when it got stolen. It might have had 100,000 more. Honest to God, that car was great. Anyway, our current champion, our Monday winner, Cowboy Cody from Kentucky, gentleman who took a rabid raccoon into a bar that had previously banned him for riding around on a mule while drunk and setting it loose and creating havoc at a Kentucky bar, which I would think if they're in any state where they'd be kind of chill with having just a rabid raccoon run around, it'd be Kentucky, but I don't know, maybe Tennessee, maybe Mississippi. But yeah, Cowboy Cody from Kentucky is our current weekly champion.
Mine is way too long, so I don't feel like summarizing it. So I found a new story.
Oh, okay. We can do that.
It was way too long because it's a very long process of what things happen.
All right. I will go first anyhow. And the headline of my story is one of the dumbest crimes in Arizona state history. Arizona, the Florida of the Southwest. This is a fraud story. We meet the former Santa Cruz County Treasurer, Elizabeth Gutfar, who stole more than $38 million from the taxpayers of Santa Cruz County. Her own attorney referred to her crime as, quote, one of the dumbest, ill-conceived, short-sighted, and most audacious crimes in Arizona state history. That is her own attorney talking about her theft of nearly $38 million. She has pled guilty to embezzlement and tax evasion since she did so 8 months ago. She's been waiting for sentencing and helping Santa Cruz County sell off real estate, livestock, and fancy cars to try and recover some of the stolen money. Gutfar's attorney, Josh Hamilton, has argued for sentencing her to the low end of the range agreed to in the plea bargain. The range is between 5.25 to 6.5 years in prison, plus 3 years on probation. More from Gutfar's attorney. Her scheme was not well planned. She made no real effort to conceal her actions. Even a cursory review of financial records or publicly available information would have quickly uncovered her crimes. How then did it take 10 years for anybody to figure out this woman was stealing money from the county? That's a question for Santa Cruz County. Voters knocked 2 county supervisors out of office after the scandal came out. Part of the sentencing recommendation to the judge says that Ms. Gutfar had no business ever becoming the treasurer in the first place.
Wow.
She was elected to run the county treasury without any real business experience or training in finance. Her attorney says she thought she was basically borrowing money to build an ideal life for her family. Quote, Ms. Gutfar deluded herself into a pipe dream whereby she thought she could borrow surplus funds to establish successful real estate and cattle businesses and then repay the money with everyone being none the wiser. She thought, and it worked for 10 years.
Yeah.
School districts and fire districts do not find this story funny at all. They say they will be badly hurt by what Gutfar did. Schools in Nogales, Arizona alone told prosecutors they lost more than $11.2 million, and they expect to recover just a fraction of that money. So there you have it. One of the dumbest crimes in Arizona state history. So I'm like, yeah, let me just skim a little off the top. Just a little haircut for the people of Santa Cruz County, and I'll pay it back eventually with my domination of the real estate and cattle businesses in the county. And it just went on for 10 years. And she stole $38 million.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Anyway, a lot of stupidity at work in that story.
Yes.
Your turn, Spencer. What do you got today?
Yeah, we're going to Lakeland, Florida in Polk County. And we're going to talk with our guy, Sheriff Grady Judd. It was a game on when a wanted Florida man made a social media post challenging the Polk County Sheriff's Office and none other than Sheriff Grady Judd to find him. On Tuesday, Polk County Sheriff's Office and the Lakeland Police Department shared a series of Facebook posts made by Aaron Johnson. In the post, Johnson states, Y'all too busy fishing. That's why y'all can't catch me when I left my grandma's house today. Should have waited a bit longer. Y'all accepted the challenge, right? Hashtag Grady can't find me. Hashtag come again, Grady.
Okay.
In response, the Polk County Sheriff's Office wrote, spoken like a true man. Way to take responsibility for your actions. No worries. We will find you, bet. The series of posts continued with Johnson stating, I done outrun y'all several times. Hashtag come try again, Grady. Police responded with challenge accepted. And then he responded with, okay, I'll give you and the crew the head start. Y'all need to catch me on foot or in the car like last time. Maybe you can, or you can't. Couldn't catch me on foot or in the car like last time. Maybe you need that horse or your helicopter. Hashtag level up. Hashtag I'm gone, Grady.
Okay. Hitting him with hashtag. What did he do? What was his crime?
So he has felony warrants.
Multiple felony
warrants. To make this shorter, they eventually found him. He was arrested and taken into Polk County Jail. He's facing several charges, including violation of a pretrial release condition.
And they got a picture of him, too. And the look on his face like, yeah, man, you guys got me.
Yeah.
You got me. Y'all won. This time.
They basically he went at it again and said, y'all can't find me. And then they found him and said, you done messed up, AA Ron. You forgot all the agencies here in Polk work together. Thanks, Lakeland PD, for the find. Hashtag got him. Hashtag teamwork makes the dream work. Hashtag play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Hashtag Aaron ran, but we caught him anyway.
Don't taunt the cops.
Yeah.
Don't taunt the police.
Especially Sheriff Grady Judd.
They got guns and stuff. Don't taunt the police. All right, we got two stories. Say who wins. The hashtag hijinks there, according to Paul in the YouTube comment.
I think that wins. Or between the two.
Okay, I'm with you
because it's like come on, like you're trying to get me, and then like Sheriff Grady Judd's like undefeated. How like it's always something about him catching somebody whenever we bring him up. So
yeah, don't taunt the sheriff, especially when the sheriff is famous.
Yes.
We know who he is in Topeka, Kansas. Don't taunt the famous sheriff. I don't think that beats Cowboy Cody.
Oh, no. I think that went wire to wire.
Not even his real name. His real name is Jonathan.
Yeah.
We've been calling him Cowboy Cody the whole time. And him and his raccoon loose in a bar. That's our winner for the week here on What Is Wrong With You, sponsored again by State Farm agent Ryan Mo Winkle. Give Mo a call today, 785-273-1572. We'll take a timeout. When we return, Maikel Garcia having a great year. How real is it, and is he a cornerstone Royal? We'll talk about it next on 580 Sports Talk. 441 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you today. Brendan on vacation. He'll be back on Monday. With you until 6 o'clock tonight. Royals pregame is at 8 o'clock. First pitch at 8:40. Good news, national broadcast. Bad news, Apple TV Plus.
Boo.
So, have you watched an Apple TV game?
Yeah, I did. Last year I used my free trial.
Sure. I actually think it's a pretty good broadcast. I think the picture is good. I think the graphics are unobtrusive. I think it's a pretty good broadcast.
Yeah.
It's just like, if you're not paying for it, you can't watch it. And
no, I feel like Apple TV is one of those, like, not like, I would like to know of the people that have Prime or Netflix, like what comparative, like the users, the user-based comparative, because I feel like not everybody.
I think it is much less widely subscribed to than like Netflix, Hulu,
Paramount,
maybe even Paramount. I don't have the numbers in front of me.
I think though it is very heavily subscribed when the show with Jason Sudeikis comes out.
Ted Lasso.
Like when Ted Lasso comes out, I know a bunch of people that are like, yeah, I just resubscribed. I'm gonna unsubscribe when it's over.
My folks watch a lot of stuff on Apple TV Plus. Slow Horses, they like. I think
there's that new one that's
Shrinking.
Apple
There's
TV
Severance.
Plus.
Severance people really like.
There's that new one with Vince Vaughn that's out on Apple TV Plus. It's a golfing show.
That wrong guy. Wrong member of the Wedding Crashers crew. That's Owen Wilson.
Yes.
Yeah. The golf show. My folks started watching that too. They said it was very formulaic. My mom says she was sitting on the couch. She could predict exactly everything that was going to happen in the episode before it happened. Very formulaic, but like comfort food TV. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it's nice to have a comfort food show. Maybe I think it's called Stick.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's that. Like, I'm not saying there's been some things I've watched. I use my parents' login on Apple TV Plus. I've watched some stuff on there, but I think they do a good baseball broadcast. It's just another impediment to being able to watch your favorite team if you are a Royals or a Padres fan.
They also have a very, like, I don't know, like they're like every Friday night, but it's like not the odds of your team getting on it. Like not every team is on it during the year. So like what's true. Or like if your team's on it for one time, like I'm not going to subscribe. But if my team's on it like 6 times, I might subscribe.
No, I understand that. Yeah. There is no impediment, of course, to listening to the Royals Baseball Network. Just turn your dial to 580 AM on a 4.9 FM. We got you covered tonight for Royals at Padres. Maikel Garcia will likely be in the lineup and batting third. And boy, what a long way we've come with Maikel. Last season, just remember last season, Maikel Garcia at the plate was one of the worst hitters, everyday hitters in Major League Baseball. He batted .231 with a .281 on base, a .332 slug for a .614 OPS. We use this OPS plus stat from Baseball Reference quite a bit. Baseline is 100. If you're below that, that's how far percent below average you were. Maikel Garcia was 26% below average. 74 OPS plus last year. 7 home runs, 27 doubles, did have 5 triples, and did steal 37 bases in 39 attempts. He was not a replacement level player. In fact, combined with a good glove, he ended up being worth a little over a win in terms of Baseball Reference WAR, but the offense was lagging. And when the Royals acquired Jonathan India this offseason, the initial plan was that India was probably going to play third base, leaving Michael Massey at second, and that was an understandable through line for the Royals to follow because Massey, according to OPS Plus, had been the Royals' 4th best hitter last year. So he was going to be the second baseman, and India was going to play third, and that left Maikel Garcia as a bit of a man without a country, to the point where he was playing some center field in spring training this year just to try and broaden his options. And maybe the thought was, okay, well, he could play center field against the lefty and spell Kyle Isbell, or he could play second base against the lefty and spell Massey, or he could kick in at third base here and there. But there was not an everyday lineup spot guaranteed to Maikel Garcia when this season begins. And now you can't take him out of the lineup because he's hitting .313 with a .372 on base and a .493 slugging percentage. That's an .864 OPS, a .141 OPS plus. He has gone from being 26% below league average to 41% above. He's already set a career high with 8 home runs. His walk rate is a career high. His strikeout rate is at a career low in a good way. He's only striking out 13.5% of his at-bats, well below league average. That has gone down every year. His walk rate has gone up every year. The old saying in baseball is that development isn't linear. This is the development you might have hoped for from Maikel after a promising 2023 season where he hit 272 in his first big league campaign. And now Garcia is the 3-hole hitter every game. And he's hitting for power. He's hitting left-handers and right-handers. He's making solid contact. The advanced metrics, the deep dive batted ball stuff from Baseball Savant and the like, they all support that this is real. This is not a mirage. Maikel Garcia is becoming, or has been at least, one of the best hitters in the American League through nearly 3 months. And if he can consolidate his gains as an offensive player with the base runner he was in 2024, he's been a very bad base runner this year so far. 7 times caught stealing, leads the American League, though he does have 15 swipes. And the defensive player he was in 2023. He was exceptional with the glove, according to the metrics in 2023. This year, he's been a little below average with the glove over at third base. And that washes with what I've seen from the eye test. He's made a couple of errors that I think are uncharacteristic of him. I think he should be, even if third base isn't ever going to be his natural position, he still looks like a shortstop trying to play third base, but that he can still find a defensive home over there and I think be a positive contributor defensively. If he can be a positive contributor with the glove and with his legs to add to what he's becoming with the bat, what you have is one of the best players in the American League. And fun fact about Maikel Garcia, we've talked about the arbitration, and you know how this works if you follow baseball, where typically you're called up, you get 3 years where you are pre-arbitration, and then 3 years where you are arbitration eligible, where you and the team negotiate over your salary and you just roll it over for 3 years. Well, Maikel Garcia, because of when he was called up in 2023, has an extra arbitration year. So the Royals will be able to do arbitration with Maikel Garcia in 26, 27, 28, and 29, taking him all the way through his age 29 season. So the Royals don't have to lift a finger, and they have this budding star. That is not a crazy thing to say about Maikel Garcia, that is what we are witnessing. He's only 25, and the Royals have this budding star for the next 4 years after this one without having to do anything except file and trial, if worst case scenario, when it comes to the arbitration process.
Or do you lock him up?
That's a thought. It's certainly a thought that you could buy out his arbitration years and maybe get one more on the back end or 2 more on the back end and try and get yourself some savings in arbitration if you think that you might be even buying in low at this stage, which, again, if he can provide positive value defensively and with his legs, which he has done previously in his career but is not doing this year, then, yeah, you've got an elite player on your hands if he hits like this. And like maybe this is as good as it gets with the bat, but like the improvements, the gains, he's not going to be a strikeout machine. He's going to draw his walks. He's going to hit for power. He's going to steal bases. Like this is, I think at minimum, we can say he's going to be a good offensive player for his prime years. And that might be worth doing. And the reason that's so important, I was looking at Baseball America does every year, they try to project out what a team's lineup is going to look like in 2020 or 3 years down the road. So in their prospect annual, they rank a organization's top 30 prospects, and then they try and project out what the lineup is going to look like based on who the top prospects are and who's already in the organization 3 years down the road. So in this year's book, Baseball America projected the 2028 Royals lineup. And among their projected parts of the order are a 28-year-old Bobby Witt Jr. at short and a 25-year-old Jac Caglianone at first base and a 30-year-old Vinny Pasquantino DHing, Blake Mitchell is your catcher of the future. Carter Jensen, who is catching in the minor leagues right now as the left fielder at the age of 24. They also have Kyle Isbell and Michael Massey still in the lineup in 2028, which should tell you about the state of second base and center field in the Royals organization in the minor leagues right now. But broadly, like Gavin Cross is part of this projected lineup. I'm going to tell you right now, I think Gavin Cross is as likely to play in the major league someday as me. I don't think it's happening for Gavin Cross. He's having a miserable year at AA, and I don't think it's going to happen for the former first-round pick. So, and if it does happen, I don't think it's going to be as an everyday player. It would take something really unforeseen at this point for him to change his trajectory as a prospect.
All right, clip this for when we at the end of the year. He's from here on out, he's hitting 360.
Go ahead. Yeah. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I say all that to say this. The Royals needed one more guy to feel really good about for the future. One more guy that they could feel good about building around, because obviously Bobby Witt Jr. is locked in. Jac Caglianone is a rookie and he's locked in. And Pasquantino's got, he would be a free agent after the 2028 season. So he's locked in for the next 3 years. They needed one more guy, one more like cornerstone piece of the lineup where you feel like, okay, well, I don't have to worry about that guy because he's going to produce. And he's locked in his lineup spot, in his defense position. They needed one more guy because there's just not a huge wave of position player talent in the minor leagues right now. And there will be less if they try to cash in a guy like Carter Jensen in the trade market this offseason. So they needed Maikel Garcia to have a year like this. And it's really fun that he has. He's such a fun player to watch. And I think he's one of the four cornerstones for this Royals lineup for the next 3-4 seasons, along with Pasquantino, along with Witt, along with Caglianone. We'll take a timeout, come back with On Second Thought to wrap up this 4 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. I don't think I'm going to have to do it On Second Thought any time down the road about Gavin Cross. I just double checked. He's hitting 185 at AA Northwest Arkansas. He's 24 years old.
Sounds like Nats prospect Elijah Green. Don't look up his hitting.
Man, I remember him being a first-round pick and a fairly big deal. Anyhow, my On Second Thought is I thought the NBA Finals were going to end last night. And it's not because Tyrese Halliburton looked like he was healed from his calf strain. It's just that the Pacers made everything they took, and the Thunder didn't, and they are going to 7 in the NBA Finals. First time since 2016 and that
Wow.
all-time classic between the Warriors and Cavaliers, that we have had a Game 7 in the NBA Finals. I did not think that was coming. I didn't think the Pacers would push it to 7 games, but they're better than I thought, and the Thunder were actually even more fraudulent than I thought they were. Where's your on second thought?
My own second thought is I did not think the Royals would go from being double swept to sweeping.
I don't think a lot of people did.
I thought they might have won 1, maybe 2 in Texas, but I wasn't expecting a sweep.
Vibes were pretty bad.
Yeah.
Vibes were not good.
Yeah.
But they righted the ship with 3 wins in Arlington, and
Dan, you can't go on vacation again.
No, definitely cannot. That's not allowed as far as this season's Royals fortunes are concerned. They'll try to keep it rolling in San Diego tonight. Coming up in the 5 o'clock hour, we got our sports headlines, including a playoff roundup. We've got a preview of that Royals-Padres series. And how many people with your name do you know? I'll tell you why I'm asking. That's all coming up in the final hour, 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour of this Friday edition of 580 Sports Talk. It's our last hour of the week. Let's make it count on the sports voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. Online at 580WIBW.com. And available in living color on our video stream. Catch us on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and on our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis hanging out with you. Thanks for hanging out with us, whether you're just joining us or you've been rocking with us throughout the day. We so appreciate you being a part of the audience on 580 Sports Talk. Want to hear from you in the YouTube chat if you are watching on the YouTube channel. Look, you don't want to go outside right now. You don't. You want to stay in where there's air conditioning and there's Wi-Fi. Go ahead and punch us up on your phone on the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk.
Put us on your TV.
You can put us on your TV.
If you have a smart TV.
If you have a smart TV or the Chromecast, Google TV, you can do that too. I guess it's the same kind of deal. But yeah, throw us up on the big screen. You see my, I got like a radiant glow to my Coastal Carolina hat here. You're also wearing a green hat, but the light is not doing to your green what it is doing to mine in the main studio.
It's the angle of the camera and the light in your studio.
We got to do something about the fluorescence in this place. But yeah, you're watching on the YouTube again. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. There is a live chat, and throughout the show, you can type words into the chat. We will see them, and your fellow listeners will see them as well. It's a great way to interact with the community of 580 Sports Talk. You can also text the show. The text line is wide open. 785-272-9429 is the text line number. Shoot us a text. Don't text and drive, but shoot us a text. Anyhow, still to come in this final hour of the show today, we'll get you a preview of the Royals-Padres series. We have the Royals lineup. It's what you'd expect. We do not have the Padres lineup yet, and there is some real interest there as to whether Fernando Tatis Jr., one of their best hitters, will be in the lineup for this game or at all after he got dotted last night at the end of that heated 4-game series that the Padres had against the Dodgers. Did you catch Manny Machado's quote after the game?
I did not.
So they were asking Machado about it, and in reference to the Dodgers, he said, they better pray he's okay. They better light a candle.
Wow.
So that's how seriously they were taking it over in that San Diego clubhouse, and understandably, because outside of the good hitters and the Padres, like they're a good team. They're 40-34, third place in the NL West. Outside of their good hitters, their lineup stinks. And what I mean by that, it is very similar in composition to the lineup of like last year's Royals, where you've got like 4 dudes and one guy who's and then it's just a bunch of whatever and whatever too bad the rest of the way through the lineup. And they can't afford to lose one of their dudes. And Fernando Tatis Jr., he's a dude for sure. 13 homers, 15 steals, leads the team in both categories. We don't know if he's going to play tonight, or at all in the series. He's also the only active Padre to have a home run off of tonight's Royal starter, Michael Lorenzen. So
maybe they're waiting to put up their lineup because Buster Olney posted on X 7 hours ago. There's presumably MLB discipline coming down on the Padres and Dodgers today in the forms of suspension.
Well, that could be true. I don't know if that would affect any hitters. Like the bench is cleared, but it didn't get like ugly last night. There weren't any like punches thrown. Like I don't think like maybe there's a suspension for Mike Schultz, maybe a pitcher or two, but I don't think that should affect their everyday lineup. I think the big thing is Fernando Tatis's MRI. That's what's going to affect whether or not he's in the lineup and domino effect with a player that good. But we'll get to that later on in the hour show, this final hour of 580 Sports Talk today. Also, how many people with your name do you know? We're gonna talk about that. You probably were confused when you saw that in the rundown, Spencer.
Yeah, there's no other context.
There's no context. That's perfect. That's just how I want it, because I want you to come with me. Come with me on this journey as we have this conversation a little bit later on this hour. I figured it would be a perfect bit of Friday frivolity for when we head into the weekend here. Again, the text line 785-272-9429, and get at us in the live chat. Appreciate those of you hanging out with us. The Marks brothers, both of our Marks are in the chat. Vance is in, Jason's in, Jeffrey, afternoon crew hanging out. Appreciate all you guys. And again, jump on in. If you are watching on YouTube, we would love to see your comments as we go along here on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get to some headlines, shall we? We will do our 580 Sports Talk headlines to begin this hour. We'll start with a couple of high school sports headlines that are germane to our city, the capital city of Kansas, and the surrounding area. The Kansas Shrine Bowl is tomorrow. It is in Dodge City. We will not have coverage this year on 580 WIBW on account of Royals baseball, but the Kansas Shrine Bowl, the 52nd edition of the Shrine Bowl, I believe, will take place tomorrow in Dodge City. There are 4 players participating from Shawnee County, 3 of them from the same high school. Seaman High School will be represented by Caden Jordan, the defensive lineman who will be playing college football at Hutchinson Community College. Max Huston, the record-setting quarterback of the Vikings, who's committed and will play football at Coffeyville. And Briar Finley, the record-setting wide receiver for the Vikings, who smashed all, I think he literally holds all of the receiving records, career, single game, single season in Seaman High School history. He hasn't yet decided what sport he's going to play in college. Talented 3-sport athlete, but he will play at least one more football game with 2 of his former teammates suiting up for the East tomorrow in Dodge City. Also, Caden Estrada, former Washburn Rural Junior Blue offensive lineman and future Emporia State Hornet, will be suiting up for the East team. Seaman head coach Jared Swafford will be an assistant coach on the East staff this year. So that is tomorrow. Again, no radio coverage on 580 WIBW on account of the Royals conflict, the Royals game in San Diego. But obviously there's the statewide television broadcast on Your View Cox 22 that I'll probably be trying to check out for a little bit, at least tomorrow night.
I will say it is going to be a hot one in Dodge City.
God, you're not kidding.
I'm looking at 5 o'clock tomorrow. It's still 95.
No, thanks.
Yeah.
Nah, man. That's why they don't play football in the summer. That's why it's a fall sport.
Thanks, Royals, and being in Dodge City.
Yeah. Let's also get you this headline. We told you about a month or so ago, and the great Rick Peterson of TopSports.News had it first, that Maikel Williams was stepping aside after 7 seasons as the head coach of the Highland Park boys basketball program. The program has announced its replacement. Once again, it was Pistol with the news first. It will be Nate Wallace, former assistant under Maikel Williams for the past 3 seasons. Nate Wallace played his high school basketball at Topeka High, was an assistant at Topeka High for some years, spent the last 3 years on Maikel Williams' staff. He will take over a program that went 71-4 over the past 3 seasons, including 2 third-place finishes at the 5A state tournament, and last year a runner-up finish with an overtime loss to Cape and Mount Carmel in the title game. Nate Wallace, new head coach of Highland Park boys basketball. Those are your hyper-local high school sports headlines to lead off our 580 Sports Talk headlines. You've got a pair of K-State related headlines that we'll get to next, Spencer.
Yes, just seeing this come down on X a little while ago from actually the university that Kansas State men's basketball will be playing in a non-conference game, as K-State will host Tulsa in a non-conference matchup. I believe it'll be the first non-conference matchup of the season. It'll be November 7th, at least the first one that's set, I guess I should say, as that the public will know. November 17th at Bramlage Coliseum. And the Golden Hurricane went 13-20 last year, going 6-12 in conference play. Also, PJ Haggerty played there in 23, 24.
Played there his first year of college ball before he transferred to Memphis. Tulsa's been historically like a good program at times. Bill Self obviously was head coach at Tulsa, took them to an Elite Eight. I don't know why it's gone so far south for Tulsa men's basketball over recent years. But I know that's a program that ought to be better than it is. I really feel like. So, they've been down for sure in recent years, and should be a game K-State finds a way to win at Bramlage.
Yep. And if you're a K-State baseball fan, you might want to find yourself down in Wichita soon with watching a wind surge game as former K-State baseball star Jaylon Culpepper is being called up to Double-A Wichita after spending the start of the season at High-A Cedar Rapids in Iowa, according to an announcement by the club today. Both minor league teams are part of the Twins organization where he was drafted, obviously, last year. He slashed 293, 385, and 479 in 54 games for the Colonels, helping Cedar Rapids earn a playoff spot by clinching the Midwest League's West Division first half title. He was 7th in the league with his 293 average. He's tied for 4th in the league with homers with 9, ranks 5th in the league with 103 total bases, 8th in slugging percentage, and hits with 63, and 9th in OPS. So moving himself up the organization here just less than a year after being drafted.
Yeah, and he was not like super old for the level either. He got 17 games at High A last year. He played 26 total minor league games in his first season after being drafted. And I think with a lot of guys like Jac Caglianone's a perfect example. You play a long college baseball season, then you go and you're immediately playing professional ball. That grind can take a lot out of you. So you could set aside what he did in his 26-game minor league cameo last year. He got 54 games at Cedar Rapids at age 22, which actually kind of makes him young for the league, but like right around average age for the league. And he lit it up and has certainly earned this promotion to Double-A. Very cool stuff. He's really risen among the national prospect rankings as well. And he's going to be a guy who all goes well, could be impacting the major leagues for the Twins real soon, or Twins kind of in the hunt in the Central. Maybe he's a potential trade piece if they make a real big swing at the deadline. Obviously, they're paying Carlos Correa a lot of money to play shortstop. They've got Brooks Lee up the middle, who they really like. So he is distinguishing himself, though, and anybody who watched him last year at K-State knew this was certainly within the range of possible outcomes for Jaylon Culpepper. So very cool for him.
Yeah,
and
definitely cool if you are a K-State fan, get down there to a wind surge game.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next headline. Things got nasty in Detroit yesterday, and I'm not talking about the weather. The weather did get nasty. It rained a lot during the doubleheader between the Pirates and the Tigers. And in the course of a weather delay and a long day at the ballpark, probably some overserved or just generally cranky fans in attendance. And Pirates reliever Dennis Santana took a swing at one of them. He was involved in an altercation with a fan that he said crossed the line during the second game of Thursday's doubleheader with the Tigers. At one point, a video taken from the stand shows him leaping and swiping at the person. Santana said after the game, "I've never had any issues for any of the teams I played for. This guy crossed the line a few times. I'd like to leave it at that. I've never had anything like this happen in my 8 years in baseball." In videos posted to social media, Santana can be seen pointing out the fan to a police officer before jumping and swinging at the person who was in the front row above the Pittsburgh bullpen at Comerica Park in Detroit. There was also an incident in the game where former Royal and current Pirates outfielder Tommy Pham actually had a couple of fans from behind home plate ejected from the game based on what they were yelling at him. Again, long day at the ballpark. It was a doubleheader. You had 2 rain delays. Each game was delayed by rain. Probably had some folks overserved. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I think that if you did something that made a player in a sporting event, somebody who was participating in the sporting event, take a swing at you, you probably deserved it.
Yeah.
You probably had it coming. And I think one thing that would be a deterrent would be if you maybe let the pro athlete get the pause on some of the fans who are not acting right. The one thing that would have ended this for good and for always. Remember the Malice at the Palace? You remember the big brawl, the Pacers and incidentally also Detroit. That perhaps not a coincidence, but if you remember the Malice at the Palace, there's footage of a fan coming out onto the floor, and Pacers forward Jermaine O'Neal, who was like 6'10", 6'11", sprinting across the court and winding up to deliver a punt, and then he slips. He slips as he's trying to plant and deliver the punch. And if he hadn't slipped, I think he might have killed that man with that punch because he had the momentum of coming all the way across the court. At the very least, he would have done long-lasting damage to that fan. And frankly, I believe the fan deserved it. I think if you are making that much of a nuisance of yourself, you buy a ticket, you get to heckle, you get to boo, you get to, chant within reason and taunt and root for the home team and all those things. But if you are getting so out of pocket that a professional athlete decides, hey, this is worth my risk, I got to hit this guy. I got to hit this person. You probably deserved to be hit. That is my unpopular opinion of the day. Poke the bear, and sometimes the bear ought to be able to poke back at you. And then maybe that will be a lesson, not just for you, but for everybody else in attendance and everybody watching on television. That, hey, you know what? Maybe let them do their jobs. Maybe don't get right in their face. Maybe, obviously, something was said to Santana that was beyond the pale. That was something he could not handle. And I do. I think that it generally, when players say that, and that is they are provoked to that level, then kind of wish he had gotten his hands on that guy. That's my thought on a wild day at Comerica.
Do you think?
Man, why is it always Detroit?
Do you think they get not banned from the park after they get kicked out?
I hope so. If you get kicked out of the ballpark, they shouldn't let you back in. No, 100%. If you are acting again, you would be so amazed how much tunnel vision those professional athletes have. Like, you don't get to that level if you're not able to quite literally tune out a lot of that noise.
I mean, there's people 4 feet away from you or less. If, the people that were right behind him at home plate, they're 4 feet or less away.
And they know, like Tommy Pham, who has not always been maybe the most pleasant person to deal with as a teammate in his career. Remember he slapped Jock Peterson over some fantasy football beef that one time? It's one of the funniest things that ever happened. No, they understand that they're going to get booed. They're going to be told they suck. And they're going to hear some things about their mother probably that they didn't know before and all of that. They understand that whether that's right or wrong, that stuff comes with the territory. But when it gets to the point where they say, hey, look, that guy's got to be removed. I'm not going to listen to this anymore. And that guy has to go. Or I have to take matters into my own hands because this guy has gone too far. That means they've gone too far. There's a reason this isn't a frequent occurrence. Most athletes can get the blinders on and ignore that stuff. And it's water off their back. When it's not, that's not their fault. 10 times out of 10, it's not their fault. It's the fans' fault. They've taken it too far, and they need to be removed, and they need to be asked to not come back. Anyhow, John's got a great story in the YouTube comments about heckling. I was at a Royals game a few years ago. A guy was yelling weak sauce at a guy fielding batting practice for the Royals. I told him to shut up, and the guy was Zac Greinke. Yeah, man. Why would you taunt Zac Greinke?
Yeah.
And that's as tame as it gets. That's fine. Athletes expect that. Athletes expect that they're going to hear stuff. Even in their home ballparks, they expect, visiting fan, they might hear something. But when it gets to that point, whatever violence might come a fan's way, whatever consequences might come their way, they deserve it, 100%. You've got, Spencer, a headline from college football or college sports realignment.
Yeah, not football, actually. Everything but football for this specific realignment. Sacramento State will join the Big West Conference as a full-time member starting in the 26-27 academic year. Sacramento State informed the Big Sky on Wednesday that they'll leave the conference after this year in the Big West. Announced the school will become the 12th school in the conference. Big West doesn't sponsor football, as Sac State's program will be an independent in that sport. The Hornets are trying to move up from the FCS level to FBS level. As an independent, they're waiting a ruling next week, but it doesn't look like they're going to get said ruling.
So the oversight committee has recommended against them doing this.
Yeah.
Just coming up and being an independent. They have cited in their recommendation the paramount importance of having an invitation to join an FBS conference. The last team to do this was Liberty, going up from FCS to FBS. And they were an independent for 5 years before Conference USA snatched them up. But the oversight committee says circumstances have changed since then, writing, due to the significance of the bona fide invitation from a conference requirement and the lack of compelling mitigation explaining why that requirement has not been met, the committee does not support relief. So I don't know what plan B is for Sac State if they are not allowed to play independent FBS football. But one thing is very clear. We've talked about Sacramento State, like really wanting to level up their athletics. They've hired Mike Bibby as their head coach and Shaquille O'Neal as their program's voluntary general manager. Like they're really investing in their college sports.
Want to hire Mike Vick?
Yes. They considered hiring Michael Vick before he ended up being the head coach at Norfolk State. I'm interested by this because it doesn't sound like they're going to get that waiver, like you said. So then what do you do? If you can't be an independent, like, do they reach out to the Pac-12? Does the new Pac-12 want to take on? I mean, geographically, obviously, it makes all the sense in the world. But do they want to take on a program that's just coming up from FCS? Because I don't think that helps their credibility as a league. If they're trying to get back into the P5 picture, the new improved Pac-12, I don't think that helps their credibility as a league if they're taking on Sac State, who's not even going to play in the Pac-12 in their other sports.
Look, win some games. Win games, be a powerhouse, and you'll think about it. Like, look, James Madison, for example, they were an FCS powerhouse for years. They went to the national championship in FCS, and it took them until like 2 years ago to come up to the FBS.
Yeah, it was a handful of years. Yeah,
like they were winning. They were a winning team when I was in high school because players that I know were going there. And they were winning or vying for national championships. Like you have to win. Just because your team wants to, you don't show me why you deserve to be an FBS team.
Sac State did not make the playoffs last year, but had made the playoffs in 23, 22, 21, and 19. So it's the program moving in the right direction, but they've never gotten beyond the quarterfinal round of the division or the FCS playoffs. So it's a big gamble, and I don't know what it looks like if it doesn't work out for them. But they hired Brendan Marion as their head football coach with the proprietor of the Go-Go offense at UNLV. So like they're putting their money where their mouth is, but it's a big gamble if they don't get that waiver. Let's do a couple of things real quick. Tell you real quick a run through of what is on tap for your sports weekend. The Men's College World Series Championship Series gets underway tomorrow in Omaha. LSU and Coastal Carolina in a best of three to decide the college baseball national champion. Coastal Carolina trying to win their second. LSU's won a handful of these before. Coastal's on a 26-game winning streak going into this best of three series, but LSU a higher national seed. The number 6 seed Tigers, the number 13 seed Chanticleers. Game 1 of that best of three series Saturday in Omaha. Also, this weekend, the PGA Tour is in Hartford for the Travelers Championship. Through 2 rounds, the star-studded leaderboard with Scotty Scheffler, Justin Thomas, and Tommy Fleetwood, all at 9 under par with a 1-shot lead over Jason Day. This is a designated event, so a lot of recognizable names will be on the leaderboard this weekend in Hartford at TPC River Highlands. The NASCAR Cup Series goes to Pocono, the Big Triangle, as I call it, because it doesn't look like a straight oval. It's kind of got that triangle in it. Anyway, NASCAR Cup Series is at Pocono on Sunday. Also continuing action this weekend in both the Gold Cup, an international soccer competition for countries like the United States who beat Saudi Arabia last night to advance to the knockout rounds, and the Club World Cup continues throughout the United States, playing to crowds of dozens in football stadiums everywhere. Very underwhelming crowds for the Club World Cup. Anyway, let's get to a playoff roundup and wrap up this segment.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
I thought this would be the last one. We'll have at least one more on Monday because there will be a Game 7 in the NBA Finals for the first time since 2016. Indiana smokes Oklahoma City 108-91 in Game 6 at Bankers Life. Is it still Bankers Life Fieldhouse? It used to be Conseco Fieldhouse. I think it's Bankers Life Fieldhouse now there. And maybe it's not.
Where in?
Gainbridge. It's Gainbridge. Yes. Gainbridge Fieldhouse. I
was going to say in Indianapolis.
Yeah. Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis. The Pacers win. They went on a 30-9 run to close out the first half and led by 30 at the end of the third quarter. So that 17-point margin, very deceiving at the end. It was all Pacers all the time in that one. So a champion will be crowned Sunday night at Oklahoma City. in our first Game 7 in nearly a decade. I still think Oklahoma City is going to win, but anything can happen in Game 7.
Yeah.
Anything can happen in the Game 7. And Oklahoma City leaving themselves in a position where they have to win a Game 7 at home. It has actually followed every beat of the Nuggets series that Oklahoma City was in, where they screwed up and lost Game 1 at home. They lost a game that they should not have lost in Game 1 at home, tricked it off. Dominated Game 2, then lost Game 3 on the road, came back, grinded out Game 4 on the road to get home court back, then won Game 5 at home, take a 3-2 lead, and then got blown out in Game 6 on the road. Now, obviously, in the Denver series, Oklahoma City dominated Game 7. We'll see if history repeats itself and the Thunder can wrap up the title. But it has not been as easy as a lot of people, including myself, thought for the 68-win Thunder. And a big credit due to the Pacers and their coach, Rick Carlisle, for that. Let's take a break. When we come back, how many people with your name, your first name, do you know? Probably a lot if you have a name like Dan. Maybe not so much if you have a different kind of first name. There's a gathering of a certain first name tonight at a major league ballpark, and it hits close to home for me. I'm going to talk about it when we come back on 580 Sports Talk. .534 and 580 Sports Talk. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you. Spencer, how many Spencers do you know? How many would you say, and for the sake of this, like they don't have to be like your best buds, but like how many Spencers would you say that you have more than just a passing acquaintance with in your life?
None.
Really?
I mean, like I grew up, I knew a few Spencers.
Okay.
I played on sports teams with another Spencer.
Sure.
There's a guy that went to my high school named Spencer.
Okay.
That's it. There's a couple Spencers that I knew that went to Marshall with me, but that was it.
Okay.
I don't really have any.
We have a Dan in the building.
Yes.
Who is not me, the great Dan Lindquist. Dan L. I don't even get to be Dan L in here.
You know Dan by his voice if you listen to our to the radio at all.
Dan L's a legend.
Yeah.
He gets to be Dan L around here. I don't even get that. I don't even get first name, last initial. I got to be Lucero, which is fine. Yeah, like you, like I've worked with a couple of Daniels actually in Wichita. I went to high school with a Dan. Went to college with at least one that I can remember. But yeah, like I'm not like real like close buddies with any Dans or Daniels or anything like that. But like I know a few. It's a fairly common name. So my brother's name is Ryan. I don't know if you know. I got a younger brother. His name's Ryan. He and my dad are going to the Rocky game tonight. They got free tickets. They're going to the Colorado Rockies game. They're playing the Diamondbacks. By the way, fun fact about the Rockies that you would never guess. They lead Major League Baseball in OPS since the start of June. No team in baseball has hit better than the Rockies. Your Nationals got to see it firsthand. That's the trouble. They lost the season series.
Yeah, but hey, James Wood yesterday.
Wood yesterday.
He ended the streak.
Yeah, he did. That was a big deal.
It's a little bit there for me.
Anyway, so I saw this in the Rockies beat writer newsletter that their beat writer Thomas Harding sends out, and I subscribe to it because I still have the brain disease that is Rockies fandom just a little bit. Anyhow, tonight at Coors Field, the stands should be full of people named Ryan. There's a whole reserved seating area being reserved for people named Ryan. It's on the list of events that is being held to attempt to break the world record for people with the same first name in the same place. Would you care to guess? Take a guess. What name right now has the Guinness World Record for the most people in one place?
Well, I guess name, I don't know.
Like first name.
Alex.
It is not Alex. It is Ivan.
I would not have guessed.
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, over 2,300 people named Ivan had a meetup in Bosnia. And so the Ryans of the world are trying to take that record down with an event called RyanCon. And they are forming a worldwide network of Ryans. And one place where they are trying to form a worldwide network of Ryans is at the Rockies game tonight, unbeknownst entirely to my brother. So I informed him of this today. And you probably have two different reactions to something like this. Like if you found out, like you bought tickets to a Royals game, and then day of the game, you found out, hey, they're getting all the Spencers together in right field. They're going to be like 36 Spencers all hanging out.
What are the odds of me buying tickets to that event without knowing it, though?
Right. But this happened. My brother and my dad, they didn't buy the tickets. They were free. Like, that's the only way you go to a Rocky game anymore. You're not buying the tickets. If you get it for free, you're going. Anyway, but he happens to go on Ryan night. So let's say you happen to go on Spencer night. Let me ask you theoretically, would you go and meet with the other Spencers?
Yes, I would.
You would? Okay.
Yeah.
See,
I would then take a picture, a selfie, and I'd be like, Spencerception.
The Spencerception. See, I am kind of in the middle where, like, I'm not going to go and hang out with a bunch of Dans. Because what do I got in common with these people other than a name? Well, what do you have to talk about with these people, right? Why does your parents name you Dan? They like the name. What about you?
I mean, some of them might be, like in this case for Ryan's, the good portion of them might be Rockies fans.
This is true. You would start, well,
at least baseball fans.
Baseball fans, yeah. Or enjoy a night at the ball game. Yeah. But that's a good point. It's a good point. It's a starting point there. But, like, I'm not going to go hang out with the Dans. But if you tell me, hey, Guinness Book of World Records, we're trying to get all the Dans together, they're going to take a picture, I'll go be in the picture. But I'm not going to go and just, like, mingle with Dans. That's not really my scene. My brother is in the opposite camp. My brother wants nothing to do with it. I told my brother, he reacted with a thumbs down in the group chat. He's like, no, absolutely not. I want nothing to do with this. And that's my brother. That's how he gets down. But yeah, he didn't want anything to do with it. So I was curious, like, would you go if it was, we got who we got in the chat right now? Jason, Vance, Mark, John. Would y'all go if it was John, Mark, Vance, Jason, your night at the ball game? Would you go and mingle with the other people with your first name? Is that cool or is that lame? I guess is what I'm asking. I guess that's what I'm asking. I have a text from the 785. My company had a national banquet. They assigned us alphabetical by first name, and there were 6 tables full of people named James. That's a lot of Jameses.
I told you over break that one of my dad's friends, his name is Phil Campbell. Well, there's a town in Alabama named Phil Campbell. Don't know why I'm assuming it's named after the person that was settled in the town or something.
Uh-huh.
They have, starting in 1995, they had a Phil Campbell convention. Every April, it appears every April, Phil Campbell's would all converge on the town.
How about that? Now that's cool because they got the first and the last name.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Mark H said he'd go to Mark night. He go hang out, mingle with the other Marks. Jason says he'd, in reference to Spies Like Us, just call the other Jason's doctor. John says he'd do it to be part of the Guinness Book of World Records. Vance says there'd only be like 5-6 people at Vance night. I don't know about that. There's not a lot of Vances out there. Mark B said he'd be in. He'd be in on Mark night. Like that's the one thing though about having a common name, right? Like you can do it. Like you can have a Ryan night, you can have a Mark night or a John night. But you know who will never know this joy of coming across someone with the same name? Chiefs tight end Jorquarius Spivey.
Just recently re-signed Chiefs tight end.
That's right. There will never be a Jorquarius night. There will never be Jorquarius Con. That's not going to happen. He'll never know that joy. He'll never have that.
Will there be a what about Patrick Mahomes' kids?
Well, one of them's Sterling, right?
Yeah.
One of my very good friends is named Sterling.
No, I meant Bronze.
Oh, Bronze is the nickname.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because he's the third one. Bronze is the nickname. JP, the YouTube comments, points out there was a battle of the Joshes in Nebraska a couple years ago. I remember reading about this. Did you see this? They want to get as many Joshes together as possible and have like a free for all, like a Josh fracas, like with like a pillow fight, Nerf gun, like the whole thing. There's a whole total Josh fracas in Nebraska. I do. I remember reading about that. Good comment. But yeah, like I don't think I'd want to go and just like mingle, like the mixer, and to get in, you got to show your driver's license, prove you're a Dan or a Daniel or a Danny. I guess I would ask. Like, I've never wanted to go by Daniel. I've been Dan since I was like 4 or 5. I've always wanted to be Dan. I didn't want to be Daniel. I didn't like when people called me by my full government name. I don't have anything against it. I just prefer Dan. But I want to ask people who go by Daniel, or especially Danny. And Danny, I'm out on Danny. Like, why? Why would you want to go by that name? And I guess the other question, too, is, okay, like, how far down the road can you go with, like, the alterations of the name? Like, Ryan Knight. I knew a girl named Ryan, Ryann. Is she invited? What about Ryan Howard, the basketball player, former University of Kentucky star who's in the WNBA? I think she plays for Atlanta. She's Rhyne. Is that good enough for the Ryan Con? Like, can you get her together with all the other Ryans, or is that a different kind of Ryan? So I have lots of questions about Ryan Con and the networking of the Ryan network trying to form at Coors Field tonight. But you know who's not going to answer him? My brother, because he's not going within 1,000 feet of those folks tonight. They're just going to have their fun without him. We'll take a timeout. When we come back, Royals Padres this weekend. We'll preview it next. 546 on 580 Sports Talk. Dan and Spencer with you. Have you ever met or encountered, we'll throw met out, but you ever encountered another Spencer Dupuis? Are you aware of like a name twin out there?
Yes.
Okay.
When I was a kid, like younger, like middle high school, maybe, I don't know. This kid found me on Instagram. He followed me, and then I looked up the name just because, apparently he was he's from Canada, so
okay,
he played hockey.
Sure he did.
Somewhere down the line, we may be related because I do have French Canadian descent.
Okay,
so
that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I know of two I have encountered in the course of time, and I'm sure there are other people with my name, but I have encountered two other Dan Luceros of note. One was a principal at a high school in the same district that I went to elementary school
That's
in.
crazy.
So, like, there was like a reading day in the district, and the principals of different schools were going to go read at the elementary schools, which meant Dan Lucero was coming to read at the elementary school that I was at. And my classmates were all asking me, like, are you reading to us? I was like, I don't think I am. I don't think so. Also, there was a Dan Lucero who ran cross country at Washington State. And this is the creepy thing about that. We have the same birthday. To the year, the same birthday. We were born on the exact same day, the exact same year. And this Dan Lucero ran cross country at Washington State, and I hate running. So that's how you tell us apart.
This Spencer Dupuis still has an elite prospects hockey.
Oh, really?
So he might still be, I don't know.
How about that?
My dad used to do construction, and his company worked with this big restaurant guy in the DC area who also had restaurants in New Jersey.
Okay.
At what's the big Jersey? What is
the Jersey Shore?
Yes, Jersey Shore, whatever that is, wherever that is. I can't remember off the top of my head. He has a big restaurant up there. His head chef's name is Mark Dupuis.
How about that?
And that's my dad's name.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are the stories of my name twins out there. Paul in the YouTube comment said he was Facebook friends several years ago with several people who share my first and last name, and it was fun for a month and then got weird. That's about right. Yeah. The novelty of that might be fun for a hot second, but I think that would get a little weird after time. Anywho, Royals and Padres this weekend. Tonight's game only available television-wise on Apple TV+, but of course you can listen to it right here on 580 WIBW, FM 104.9. Pre-game coverage at 8 o'clock with the first pitch coming at 8:40 Central Time from Petco Park. Michael Lorenzen on the hill for Kansas City. Good his last time out, hoping to build off of that. Nick Pivetta gets the start for the Padres. He's having a nice year, a 7-2 record with a 3.40 ERA. I would give you the Padres lineup, but it's not out yet, which must mean they're still waiting on word on Fernando Tatis. So I do not know, and I've even dug out the old X search to see if there's anything out there on the Everything app about Tatis's health. Does not appear that there is. So San Diego has not released their lineup for tonight's game. Obviously, changes the complexion of their lineup and the series if Tatis can't go tonight or for extended time. He was hit in the hand with a pitch last night against the Dodgers. Tatis is the leader for the Padres in home runs and stolen bases. So obviously be a big deal if he could not go. They've got Manny Machado having another all-star year. Their shortstop Jackson Merrill is a superstar. Gavin Sheets, former White Sox, he got out of that environment, started hitting. He's second on the team in home runs and RBI this year as their DH. Jake Cronenworth gets on base a bunch. Xander Bogaerts having an off year. Everybody else on their team kind of meh, kind of not that impressive. It's not a great lineup. They can pitch, though, a team ERA of 3.63. Royals are scheduled to see two of their best starters, Pivetta tonight, Dylan Cease tomorrow. Don't let the high ERA fool you. Cease is obviously awesome. Remember him from his White Sox days, striking out 12 guys per nine. He's had some really bad luck, according to his fielding independent numbers. Cease is scheduled to go Saturday. Randy Vasquez will go on Sunday. Not a bat misser, Randy Vasquez. A lot of ground balls. Royals scheduled to go Noah Cameron tomorrow and Seth Lugo on Sunday. But for tonight, the Royals lineup is out, and they'll start with a familiar lineup. Jonathan India at second, Bobby Witt Jr. at short, Maikel Garcia at third, Vinny Pasquantino at first, Salvador Perez doing the catching, Jac Caglianone in right field coming off of his first multi-home run game of his career. Freddie Fermin will be the DH. He swung a better bat of late. He's going to DH tonight and bat seventh. Nick Lofton will play left and bat eighth, and batting ninth is the center fielder, Kyle Isbell. This should be a tough series. I'm really interested how San Diego comes out after 4 emotional games against the Dodgers this week. And that's irrespective of whether Tatis plays or not. Obviously, that changes how their lineup looks, how tough they are to get through their lineup 1 through 9. But just the possibility of a letdown coming off of that series, because every game was really intense. Every game was hard fought. And the Padres lost 3 out of 4, but they did win last night 5-3. They were up 5-0 in the ninth and had to hold on for dear life at the end. They're a good team, 40-34. Even if the Royals just get 1 in this series, it would still get them home with a winning road trip, which you're pleased with. But a series win or better gets them back home back at 500 or better. And I think that would be massive for a Royals team whose confidence was really shaken by that 0-6 homestand. Again, game 1 tonight, 8:40 first pitch. If you're not an Apple TV Plus subscriber, you'd rather not bother with that. We see your anger on the text line from the 785. Says it just makes me sick trying to watch baseball this day and age. And I get it. I get where you're coming from. I do think it sucks.
You got to go that's sports for everything. You have to go every which way to find it.
It is. But at least if you're football, they yank you around, right? But at least you know what channel your favorite team is going to be on if they play on Sunday. Yeah. It'll either be CBS or Fox or NBC. Yeah. Where if you're a Royals fan, you might only have an internet option to subscribe because you might not even get it on cable. So, no, I hear you loud and clear from the 785, and I invite you to listen to the Royals Baseball Network right here on 580 WIBW.
We have a Royals connection here with the Dodgers and the Fernando Tatis situation.
We do.
Yes. So the guy that hit Fernando Tatis last night, Jack Little, has been optioned. And the Dodgers have recalled right-handed pitcher and old friend Will Klein.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You were thinking somebody else.
I was thinking it was Chris Stratton. I think he ended up somewhere else. We do have some Padres news about suspensions. Mike Schilt, the manager for the Padres, will not be in the dugout tonight. He's been suspended a game by Major League Baseball, as has his Dodger counterpart, Dave Roberts. Also, Padres closer Robert Suarez, who leads the National League in saves, has been suspended 3 games, but he will appeal. So he'll be available for the Padres tonight.
See, they may have been waiting for that to come out.
They may have. Maybe we'll get a lineup between now and the final word. We'll find out after this break. Time for a final word on 580 Sports Talk. Let me hit refresh. I don't know that we have a Padres lineup yet. We don't. Let's go to get a final word. Make it quick, Spencer.
Yeah, Royals obviously coming off the sweep. I didn't think they were going to be able to, and I thought back-to-back wins was huge for them, and obviously it's a third game in the middle of the day, but they were able to go get it yesterday. Cags going up and getting that ball and demolishing it. Yeah, I think he just probably broke his third wall, so we can maybe see more of him hitting dingers here in the future.
Final word for me. I really think it's moving toward Josh Simmons being the opening day left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs. If he's available to be a full go in training camp, and he is the kind of talent that the Chiefs believe him to be, that made him the 32nd overall pick of this 2025 draft, I think he's got the goods. I mean, he and Jaylon Moore essentially come at the job opportunity with the same level of experience with the team. I think Simmons can win the job. And if Jaylon Moore ends up being a really expensive backup for the year, well, an expensive backup is better than a cheap one. Just ask the Chiefs. They had a cheap one last year in Wanye Morris, and we saw how that ended up going for the Chiefs. That's going to do it for us. Royals baseball tonight at 8 with an 8:40 first pitch. Enjoy your weekend and stay cool. Stay inside if you can. It's going to be hot out there. For Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.